What is going on, rideshare drivers, gridwisers, everyone out there, passengers included, Dara lovers, Dara haters, and of course, gridwisers. Welcome.
What's going on, Jay? You seem like very energetic.
I'm
today.
really not. I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew, sugar, M&Ms, dude. I'm wired on
candy?
sugar.
Is that leftover Halloween candy?
Yeah, it's left. There's 170 calories for this. I should be drinking
That's
this.
horrible for you.
I'm
There
about to
goes
get,
your diet out the door.
Exactly.
So I feel like we got some pretty interesting stuff to talk about today. Kind of really like 4 topics that I think are really going to be interesting for us. In terms of understanding, how many rideshare drivers actually want to be classified as employees. That's a pretty hot topic right now. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of look at the data and see what drivers really think and not just what's like the noise going around the media. Then let's talk about, we also have an interesting stat about how many riders are actually taking gum. Because, you see drivers like offering gum and water and things like this. Like how many of them are actually taking it?
I never take and I never give. So
never taken, never give. Okay, that's okay. One way to put it. Travis K cashes out of Uber. We're going to talk about that, and then
here.
A little bit some news about Uber's autonomous vehicles and that accident they had in Arizona. I think it was last year. So let's get into it and let's talk about this stat about rideshare drivers wanting to be employees.
Now, before we get into the stat, I just wanted to say, everybody that's watching this right now, think of it in your own situation. Do you want to be classified as an employee? Let us know in the comment section below. Pause this video, comment below. And while you're commenting, Brandon, what should they do? Subscribe. Hit that red bell button. Subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff.
All right. Gender really wants you guys to subscribe.
We're almost at 300.
You probably will stop saying that if everyone subscribes.
I know, seriously.
If everyone can subscribe.
I'll stop, I promise.
Okay. So really would be interesting to see like how many people, how do you guys feel? Do you want to be classified as employees? Do you think that's a good idea? We'd love to hear people's thoughts because when we surveyed over 500 rideshare drivers. We actually released this data a couple weeks ago, but we never really highlighted it. And I wanted to kind of bring it back into the conversation. There'll be a link below. A link below.
Yeah, you got it.
55% of rideshare drivers say they do not want to be classified as employees, right? And then so if you hear a lot of kind of just like noise, like not noise. I mean, if you hear a lot of looking into like the media and things like that, you will hear like a lot of rideshare drivers or people talking about, rideshare drivers should be classified as employees. But when you look at the data, not everyone actually wants that.
It's actually shocking to me. I thought, based off of the so-called noise out there on the interwebs, mainly through the forums and YouTube channels and all that drivers didn't really want to be classified as employees. But we did the survey, 55 to 45. It's really not that much more.
Right. It's pretty evenly split. I mean, people and, there's standard deviations, all that good stuff, variance and stuff like that.
So, I mean, good stuff, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's basically 50-50 at this at this point. So, like, rideshare drivers seem like, some people want it and some people don't. We didn't really analyze it by state, so it would be interesting to see like drivers in California only. Like, how do they feel about that? Because they're really facing that decision right now. But in terms of like the broader market right now, people are split, and I think that's because, while drivers definitely deserve more in terms of benefits, they deserve more in terms of earnings, they deserve more in terms of just overall opportunity. Also, don't want to give up flexibility. Like,
I would even say being classified as an employee, Brandon, comes with its own risks. I mean, you have not flexibility aside, you can get terminated for low acceptance rates. You can get terminated for high cancellation rates. You might be forced to accept every trip. You might be forced, even, Brandon, to drive in certain areas at certain times.
Yeah.
And I think those cons outweigh the pros of being an employee.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that there's a lot that goes in. I don't know. It's kind of like a nice idea, like being an employee, like benefits. Maybe you have to like at least get minimum wage plus some probably. But there's some considerations. I'm not necessarily saying one side or the other is better or worse. I'm saying that there's like you got to kind of look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. Can you tell what side I'm on though as a driver? You know, I'm
Agenda, what side are you on?
I'm part of the 55%, Brandon. Part of the 55%.
Not want to be classified as an employee.
Because let me tell you something. This is what I think, my honest opinion. I think a lot of these drivers who want to be classified as employees are not really they don't want to be employees. They want to be reclassified as something else. Something in between an employee and definitely above an independent contractor. Because if you really think about what being an employee means, it's not good. You're working for a boss. You're working under company rules. And I don't think they're thinking that clearly. I think they're thinking, oh, we'll become employees. We'll get health care. We'll get a minimum wage. And we'll still keep earning the same amount, if not more. And, you know, drive full time whenever we feel like it. And they're not really thinking this through. Like, are you able to wake up to drive your shift consistently 5 days out of the 7 days of the week? Are you able to do that? And those are the questions that I feel like rideshare drivers should honestly answer for themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a different animal. You can't just wake up whenever you want, hit an app, start driving, make whatever you want that day, and then stop
get health
driving,
insurance and get a minimum guarantee. But on the other side, I will say this before any of you watchers, any of you viewers, light your torches and bust out your pitchforks. You know, try to get Gridwise J here. I will say this: Uber does need to pay us more. Lyft doesn't need to pay us more. We do need to have a certain safety net, a fallback, because as it is right now, it simply is just too risky. It's just too much. Too much hidden costs. So I will say that.
Yep. I am completely on board with using this like threat of making, because it might not be great for drivers, but it's horrible for Uber and Lyft. Like it is catastrophic for them.
Catastrophic, agreed.
So they definitely don't want that. So I'm definitely on board with saying, okay, we're going to make this as a threat. You see AB5 just happen. This could really happen everywhere. So why don't you take that, the Drivers Protection Act. They said they're going to pay drivers 120%. Go ahead and like triple that, and then we could start to have a conversation.
Exactly.
Right. So then you remain as an independent driver. You keep that flexibility, but then you have kind of forced their hand into kind of giving you better pay and things like that. So there's a lot of leverage to be had, and drivers need to just make sure to wield that power carefully,
I agree. And, again, those of you watching, what do y'all think? Let us know.
What do you guys think? We've talked about this a couple of times. Want to hear from you guys.
Definitely.
Okay, let's keep it rolling. Another stat that I thought was interesting that we pulled.
I love numbers.
I love a good data point. I think drivers love a good data points as well. And one of them, so we saw this, we did another survey of passengers and drivers, 1,500 passengers.
That's a lot of people.
What'd you say?
That's a lot of people.
A lot of folks. 75% of those 1,500 riders said they've never taken gum, water, candy, or any one of those snacks from a driver. Well, never taken a single one out of all the times that they have.
You know what I think about this, Brandon? I think it's because passengers are offered these treats and they view it as, oh, if I take this snack or this water, I'm going to have to tip. And I really don't finna want to tip.
You think that's it? Do you think they're just
I think that's it. I think they're just being cheapos. If you were like, oh, no, really, you don't have to tip me. This is for free. They're going to take it. End of story. That's what I think. I don't really have much faith in the passengers out there.
Yeah, no faith in passengers. I think what that says is drivers, unless you're kind of getting paid to do that by like a cargo or something like that. If you're using a cargo, yeah, you're getting paid to give away shit. Make sure you do it. But if you're just like buying stuff and putting in your car yourself, yeah, probably not worth it. Probably not. Probably not necessary. And we have another stat: 44% of drivers actually offered snacks, which is a lot higher than I thought it was.
That blows my mind, Brandon.
A lot higher.
Guess what side of that spectrum I'm on?
The other 66%.
Exactly. I am not one to give anything to my passengers simply because I don't need it. I mean, I've got a 498 rating, 1,100 trips on Uber, and I still get tipped well and rated well. I don't offer gum. I don't offer snacks. What I do offer them is to get them from point A to point B in a comfortable setting.
And a nice conversation along the way. Depending.
I've been known to give some bad conversations, but that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. Another interesting thing. We also looked in to see why people gave 5 stars. Almost no one mentioned any snacks, water, gum, or anything like that.
I think this is one of the huge sticking points that we want to get across to all our Gridwise drivers out there that are watching this. Don't go out of your way because it's going to end up costing you money, and it's not as effective as you might think because we have the numbers. We proved it.
The data shows that 3/4 of people never will take anything, which is okay. If you do anything, get water because if people get anything, they're pretty much always getting water.
Oh yeah, that's a stat too.
So if you really want to do something, just go ahead and just get water. No need for candy or anything like that.
Exactly.
And then it has almost no effect.
No effect
on your star rating. Like if you got a star with the water, if you get 5 stars with the water, you're gonna get 5 stars without the water. So
100%. Totally agree, and
that's the data. That's not us inferring anything. That's what the data.
It shocked me. This data definitely shocked me. I was very surprised.
All right. Next topic. In other news, our boy Travis K.
Our boy,
former Mr. Uber himself.
What did he do, Brandon?
He cashed almost completely out of.
Oh my god!
Almost completely out of Uber stock. So after the IPO, everyone was kind of locked in. All the insiders, at least, they were kind of locked in.
I think it was 180 days
until they could sell.
180 days, you couldn't do anything with your stock.
Couldn't do anything for stock.
And that's the law.
That's when you have, after 180 days, usually you see the stock tank because everyone's selling their shares. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily because, anything is wrong, but it's because they just want their money. They just want that cash.
They just want to cash out.
So that's what Mr. Uber himself did.
So
cashed out, I think, $500 million in stock.
Let me ask you something, Brandon. And I want the viewers to really think about this. If Mr. Uber, our boy Travis T.K. Kalanick, if he hadn't cashed out, what would that mean? It would mean he had faith in the stock, that it would go up. Because why sell now if you have faith in your company's stock going up? So you could sell for more later, right? So by him selling all of that stock now and cashing out, you know what this tells me, Brandon?
He doesn't believe in the company.
That's exactly what I think. I think he thinks he doesn't believe it at all. He thinks that they didn't leave on good terms either. With a whole 180 days of change, Uber's history, he got forced out, right, Brandon?
Yeah, so I think it certainly could be that he really doesn't believe in the company.
Do you remember what happened? He requested to be a part of the ceremony when they ding, 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 ring that opening bell during the New York Stock Exchange IPO. You know what Dara said? Dara said, bro, my boy Kalanick, it's not a good PR move for you to be here on the floor.
I didn't know that.
Company that you founded, that you sweat, blood, and tears over, and then you get ousted, and then this dude, Dara, wouldn't even let you be a part of the ceremonies when it's going public.
I did not know that, actually. That's pretty interesting because that's why I feel like this doesn't necessarily mean anything for the stock. I don't know if I don't think it really reflects his actual belief about the health of Uber. I think he's just pissed. I just think he is just like trying to wash his hands completely of it. He does still have remaining. He didn't completely cash out. He still has about literally 5% stake in Uber. So it's not like he's completely out.
Yeah.
But he sold 20%. And I really feel like a lot of that, and I obviously don't know him at all, Travis here.
Our boy.
Trav, though.
Our boy Trav.
My boy Trav.
Your boy Travis.
I don't know him at all, but like he seems kind of like a dude that would get mad and do some vindictive shit. Like he does.
Yeah,
he kind of
totally
does.
Like, you know what? I can make another $500 million if I held on to this, but nah, I'm not going to. I'm just going to get rid of it just to tank the share value.
Yeah,
even more.
He seems like a dude that would say, "Fuck you." I'm doing
washing my hands of this poo.
Yeah. So that's interesting. It's kind of funny. I don't really think it means anything about like Uber's health or anything like that, but interesting.
Very interesting.
Last topic for today. I'm sure everyone that's listening to this podcast, everyone knows, and if you don't, there was a Uber, of course, has their autonomous vehicle division. They are trying to basically build an autonomous car to, in 25 years, potentially replace drivers. Hit a snag, hit someone in Arizona when they were testing it, and unfortunately, the person died. Which was, very sad, very tragic, and also took, Uber obviously took quite a hit from that. There was a report kind of quietly released this past week that said, the reason for this incident was because the camera system, they have like this fused together system of sensors that is supposed to pick up, when things are around, and then they can kind of react to them. It didn't pick this person up because it couldn't at that time pick up jaywalkers, right? At least that's what I'm kind of understanding from the story. And then that is interesting because if it can't, because the thing that's hard about autonomous is that you have to figure out how to like account for all these kind of fringe cases.
Yeah.
And a jaywalker is almost not even a fringe case.
I feel like that happens all the time.
Yeah, like I personally jaywalk on a daily basis.
Me
like,
three.
Every single day.
100%.
I'm jaywalking.
It's either me jaywalking or people jaywalking in front of my car.
Yeah, like happens all the time. So it's that's barely a fringe case, if it is a fringe case. So it's crazy that they're so far that they can't even account for jaywalking. There is a lot of work to do for autonomous vehicles to be any way viable, any shape.
And you know what this means for rideshare drivers? You ain't going to be out of a job because they're still going to need you to be piloting the helm in some capacity. Yep.
It's gonna be a really long time. I mean, listen, eventually autonomous cars are gonna come. They're probably gonna come in terms of like highways and in forms of truckers. That could be somewhat soon because there's less fringe cases, right? But in terms of kind of in cities and the suburbs driving people around, like that is so far away that I don't know if anyone that's a rideshare driver right now. I would be shocked if they are affected by autonomous cars.
Me too. I'm thinking maybe like 20 years at minimum until we get to any of this.
Yeah.
So I'd be shocked if anybody who's driving. I mean, what's the minimum age? 25? I mean, you'd be 45, 50 by the time this affects you at the youngest.
Yep.
Rideshare drivers.
So it's pretty. It's just interesting, kind of like you hear a lot about autonomous cars, and people get like super excited about it, and it'll happen today, I think.
And I'll tell you what, for those of you watching, if it does happen in less time, Brandon will eat his left shoe.
If in 10 years there's an autonomous car coming around, I will personally eat a shoe, a left shoe. I will absolutely 100% do it,
and I will eat the companion shoe. I'll eat the right half of the shoe. You heard it right here, folks. Hold us accountable. How do you hold us accountable? Bottom right, subscribe alive to this channel. Smash like all the buttons except the dislike button. And leave a comment.
Leave a comment, and that is it. That's all the topics that we have for today, Gridwise Jay.
Gridwisers, Branderino. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you on the next one.